Hello and congratulations on your purchase of the R8200 open tower rack system, the adaptable and functional open rack. In this video I'm going to guide you through how to assemble the rack and get it ready for your install. Okay, so you've got your delivery, you've unpacked the goods, and it's time to check we've got all the correct components. You should have a top piece, which is this one here, a base piece, which is identified by the fixing holes for the castors in each corner. You'll have 4 pieces of rack rail, which will all be identical. You'll have some side supports. Now you have either 2 or 4 supports depending on the size of the rack. The taller the rack, more supports you'll need. And you'll also have the height adjustable feet. You get 4 of those. And of course you'll always get the screws and the fixings you need to assemble the rack. There are some optional extras such as the caster sets here. These are heavy duty casters and they're designed for racks which have a heavy load in them. So if you've got a tall rack with a lot of power amplifiers in them, we'd recommend using these. We'd also recommend using them in most circumstances anyway, because it makes it easy to pull the rack in and out for maintenance. As I said, they're not as standard, they are optional extras. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to assemble the rack. Okay, so first we're going to fix some rack rail to the base section. When you receive the rack, you'll get some M5 screws and some M6 screws in your pack. The M5 screws are for the side, the M6 screws are for the front fixings. And to fit those, you'll need some tools. You'll need a posi drive screwdriver, a spanner or a socket with an 8mm fitting, and it will also be useful to have a cage nut insertion tool. We've got to fit some cage nuts to the rack rail before we can fit it to the base unit. So you want to fit some cage nuts to the first and the third hole on your rack rail. So I'm going to take a cage nut, M6 cage nut, and my cage nut insertion tool. I'm going to get my cage nut in there, and I'm just going to insert it into the first hole, and then I'm going to do the same for the third hole. Okay, so that's ready. That's got cage nuts in the first and the third hole. I'm now going to take it and line it up at the front to match the fixing holes on the side of the base unit. I'm going to take my M5 screw, place one in the top hole and another in the bottom hole, and then I've got some M5 nylock nuts here which go onto the back of the screw, and because they're nylock you won't be able to tighten them by hand. You'll need to tighten them using the screwdriver and the 8mm socket. Now I've got my M5 screws in and I've got my M6 cage nuts in. I just need to put some M6 screws into the front. So I'm going to take the M6 cup washers that are provided, just place that over the screw and place it into the M6 cage nuts. And do that in the top and the bottom. And then tighten up using the screwdriver. Now you can see I've got my M5 screws and my M6 screws in place. That's 4 fixings for each corner. It means it's really safe and it's really secure. Now all you need to do is just do the same for the other 3 corners. Okay, 4 rack rails fitted to the base piece. Top piece fits in exactly the same way. You just got to make sure you put your cage nuts into the first and third holes down from the top of the rack rail. It will make it a lot easier to fit the top piece. So top piece is now fitted, and now we've got all four corners fitted, top and bottom. You can see what a difference it makes having 4 screws in each corner. It becomes really sturdy and there's absolutely no wobble in the rack at all. So now I'm going to show you how to fix our side supports. These side supports are not really essential if you're installing very light equipment into the rack, but anything heavy like power amplifiers and other equipment that's going to be adding weight to the rack, you really should be installing them before you put any equipment in to add extra strength. As mentioned before, you'll get either 2 or 4 side supports depending on the height of the rack. This one here is quite small, so it only needs 2, 1 on each side. They're fitted to the outside of the rack, and you can see the fixing holes are along the edge of the rack rail here. It's good practice to have them equal distance from the top and the bottom panels. So I'm going to show you how to fit them now. Okay, side supports fitted, rack's nearly ready to go. All we've got to do is fit the feet. These feet are height adjustable, but they're also stabilising as well. So if you've got an uneven surface, these will take care of it. And they're mega easy to fit as well. All you've got to do is tip the rack onto its side. And you can see here, there's some threaded holes for castors as well as feet. These feet just screw straight in to the largest thread on the bottom of the rack. And it doesn't matter which corner you put which foot. And you just screw them in as far as you want them to go, and that gives you the height. If you want the rack lower, you screw them in further. If you want it higher, you take them out a bit. And then just repeat the process for the other 3 corners. If you're using the castors, these ones here, they're even easier to fit. You get a pack of screws and they just screw straight into the threaded holes at the bottom. No nuts needed. And here it is, the finished R8200 open tower rack system, complete with feet, side supports as well. For more details on where you can buy accessories for this rack, please check out the description below the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.